This video tutorial is going to show you how you can customize your reports by applying some basic report filtering methods. To get started, you just need to click on the Modify Report button in the top left, or you can apply the filters when you first create a new report. Let's look at applying some filter settings from the very beginning. Now, one thing to consider is, do you need all the data all of the time? What you can do here is apply custom date and time ranges to your reports. So for this report, I only want to see activity during working days between Monday and Friday. So let's unselect Saturday and Sunday. And I'm then going to set the time frame between 9 AM and 6 PM. Moving to the filter menu item, this allows us to start applying those more granular and detailed report filtering settings. All of these filtering settings can be applied to any Akixi report. If we start with the telephone number field, here we can filter the report to only show calls that include specific telephone numbers entered. A couple of ways you would filter on telephone numbers are, for example, on a daily report, you've got a very important customer and you want to see the call activity surrounding that customer on a day-to-day basis. So what you would do is enter the customer's telephone number here, and then your report would only include call data that relates to that telephone number. Another way you'd use filtering by telephone number would be, for example, in a historical report where you want to find a call that attains to a specific telephone number, such as when dealing with a customer complaint. A quick tip you can apply when entering telephone numbers, and that is the use of wildcards, ranges, or exclusions. To give you an example, I want to run a calls by day report that excludes UK mobile numbers, and to exclude a number, start the telephone number with an exclamation mark. Now, mobile numbers in the UK start with a 07, so here we type in exclamation 07. However, now what we're asking the report to do is exclude any numbers that are 07, and this is of course not a valid number, so we need to add an asterisk at the end, and what this now does is exclude anything that starts with 07, so any UK mobile number is no longer going to be included in this report. So what happens if you want to generate a report only on specific numbers, for example 01, 02 and 03 numbers, and exclude everything else? Here is what you do, pretty much the same, and to separate the numbers you use a comma. Now what you have is a report that will only return numbers that start with 01, 02, 03 and excludes everything else. Moving to the devices field, and these are devices or extensions that are being monitored with Akixi. There are a couple of ways you can select just specific devices, and the first one is of course to drop down the menu, then just tick the extensions that you want to include on your report. As you can see here in the field, it's building the filter string for you, and if you only want to see calls attaining to just these 4 extensions, then this is a really quick and easy way to do this. What happens if you want to exclude devices from your reports? All you have to do is right click on the device you want to exclude, and as you will see, the device box will turn red, and these devices will not appear on your report. In a lot of instances when you're filtering, you're going to be working with a range of numbers. Now what you can do is either select that range of numbers, which is easy enough with the tick boxes, and as we can see the field has automatically applied a range from 100 to 105. But if you want to select many numbers, you can also build a range yourself by entering the first number within the range, followed by a dash, and then the last number in the range. In this example, I've entered 100 to 110. This way you do not have to select each and every device one by one. Equally, if you want to exclude a range of numbers, put an exclamation mark at the front. This now tells the report to exclude extensions from 100 to 110. You can combine ranges, exclusions, and wildcards to create different types of device filters to suit your reporting requirements. Don't forget, devices are not just extensions, devices can also be groups, and if you want to filter a report on specific groups or a specific set of groups, then the same filtering process applies. Moving on to agent filtering, it works in exactly the same way as device filtering. You can either use the drop-down menu, or you can input ranges, exclusions, and wildcards. We've then got the location to and from field, which allows you to filter report data further based on whether calls are made from or to the above telephone numbers. Let's now take a look at the miscellaneous filtering section. Now the first field, channel types, allows you to select whether your report is to be filtered on calls, live chats, or emails. For this example, I just want my report to show call data, so I will select voice calls. The call type and duration field allows you to filter the report on not only the direction of calls, inbound or outbound, but also whether the calls are internal or external. Here you also have the option to treat conference calls as external, and by default they are classed as internal on the report. Then we have the answer type field. If, for example, you want to run a historical report and display only abandoned calls, this is where you specify those types of calls. or you may only want to look at calls that overflowed into a group. CLI and caller ID received is an advanced field that allows you to filter by whether or not distant N number information was provided by the calling party or network provider. I'm just going to leave this as any. Moving on to the DDI digits field, DDIs are an entity within the telephony platform, so Akixi can report on them. Much like devices, you can also filter on them, and the same selection methods, ranges, exclusions, and wildcards can also be applied to DDI digits. With the account codes field, you can specify call records that relate to the single account code or multiple codes. So, for example, show me how many calls we got last week which went through to the wrong department. And lastly, the call identifier field wouldn't necessarily be used in day-to-day reporting. It's more of a diagnosis facility, and you can leave this as any. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our other tutorial videos on the Akixi YouTube channel.